The next recipe is vitello tonato, chilled veal and tuna sauce, which serves 4. Ingredients include 10 ounces veal eye round or top round, salt and pepper to taste, 1 quart or 32 ounces veal stock, 1 cup or 8 ounces dry white wine, 1 each bouquet garni with parsley, bay, and oregano. For the sauce, half a cup or 4 ounces tuna fish canned in oil, drained, 2 each drained anchovy fillets in oil, 2 tablespoons or 1 ounce olive oil, 1 tablespoon or 1/2 ounce capers in wine vinegar, drained, and salt and pepper to taste. Garnish with 1 each thin sliced lemon, 1 tablespoon or 1/2 ounce rinsed capers, 8 each cetriolini or small pickled cucumbers.
The next dish we're going to prepare today is vitello tonato. It's a veal with tuna sauce. This is a traditional dish of the Piemonte region of Italy. It's a northern section of Italy famous for its veal and beef products. The ingredients we're going to use today are a lovely veal eye around, cleaned of all its connective tissue and sinew. We're going to make a bouquet garni with a little leek, some parsley stems. We have thyme, oregano, and bay leaf, and some white wine. And we're going to make a nice flavorful liquid with the bouquet garni, veal stock, and white wine to poach the veal in. Then we have the sauce ingredients. And we have some canned tuna that's been drained, some anchovy fillet, some garlic, Dijon mustard, lemon juice, capers that have been rinsed, and olive oil. And so what I will do now is I'm going to prepare the liquid for poaching the veal. So back here I have some heated veal stock, and to that I'm just going to add about a cup of white wine. Get the flame under this. I'm going to prepare the bouquet garni, and you can use different herbs in this. This one we're going to do just a little sprig of thyme. I'm going to put some parsley stems, a couple bay leaves, and oregano. And if you just take that and roll it up, and you just take a string. I mean, you can tie this and make it very pretty, or you could just wrap it up with a string, kind of hold it all together, and tie it off. So it stays together. We have a neat little bungle that will flavor our stock, and that's just going to go in there. We're going to add some salt. We'll also season the meat as well as the broth. We'll add a little pepper. You could also do a sachet of peppercorns in there if you'd like, as opposed to putting ground pepper in it. And now we'll truss the veal in standard trussing fashion, just like we would a roast. I'm going to put on some gloves for handling the meat. And you could also use, besides eye around, you could use like a nice, if you had some shoulder, as long as you trimmed out and had pieces that were free of sinew, little medallions of veal, really, any cut will be tender enough for this, but as long as it's trimmed of all sinew and fat. Okay, so just going to tie a little slip knot. And we just really, all we're trying to do is have the veal hold its shape during the cooking process. And this is a standard poach. You want to make sure to maintain the cooking temperature of your liquid below 180 degrees, because if you cook it too fast, if you start simmering it or boiling it, worse, you're really going to shrink the meat, and likely you'll make it bend, and you will toughen the meat and dry it out. So it's really important to do this very gently. You're much better off having your temperature down 160, 165, a little lower than being up at 190 or 200. So we're just going to have it nicely trussed. Tie it off at the end. And there's a couple things you can do if you want to leave it so you can pick it up by the string. You can do that, or we'll just trim it off. And then what I'm going to do, we'll season it. Some kosher salt. You want to, be fairly liberal with the seasoning on it. Do a little black pepper. Get some tongs. It is a poach, so we want to make sure to get a lot of seasoning. The salt and pepper will be an important aspect of the dish. So we have our liquid to a simmer back here. And what we want to do, we'll just add our nice eye round of veal into the liquid. It's coming up to a simmer. And we just want to monitor the temperature. The flame's up fairly high right now, and I'm just going to lower it down. Maintain a nice simmer or poach. And we'll give that takes about 20 to 30 minutes. You don't really want it fully cooked. You want it about medium, a little past that, but if you cook it extensively, it's going to get tough and dry on you. So we're going to let that just simmer, poach, for about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, the veal has been in the poaching liquid for about 20 minutes, so we're going to check it, and it's really smelling good because of the white wine, the bouquet garni. We're getting a lot of beautiful aromas happening. So let's check the veal. And really, you can take its temperature. The better way is to kind of give it a feel. Should feel firm, have resistance, but give a little bit. So we think that it's still not fully cooked, that it's just going to be just a little bit pink in the middle. So this, if you can see, it feels firm, but has a little bit of give. And so I think we're ready to take this off. And this is going to keep cooking a little bit, so it's good if it's a little underdone. And so what we're going to do here, we just take the whole pot, and we have a bowl of ice, water, and what we want to do is just nestle this guy down in here. And this smells really good, the thyme and the oregano. We're going to nestle that down in there, and we're just going to chill this in the broth, and it's going to continue to have the flavors absorb into the veal and give it a really nice flavor when we're done. And so, we probably need to give this at least an hour to fully chill. It's a cold dish. You could do it a day ahead of time, and it's fine. The flavors will continue to mingle and really develop some nice flavors together. So we're going to give that a little time to chill down, and we'll prepare our sauce next. Okay, we're going to go ahead and make the tuna sauce for the veal dish. And again, we have our tuna, anchovies, garlic, Dijon mustard, a little lemon juice, capers, and olive oil. And so we're going to start out, basically we can pretty much put all this together. This is almost like making a mayonnaise. We're going to put in the base ingredients, and then we're going to drizzle in the olive oil. So we're going to go ahead and put in the tuna. We're going to put in a couple anchovy fillets. They were packed in oil. I like to soak the anchovy fillets in milk for maybe an hour and then pat them dry. It removes some of the harshness and oil from the anchovy fillets. So we're going to put a couple anchovy fillets in there. A little garlic. We have about 2 cloves of garlic here. Don't want it too strong of garlic. It's got to taste like tuna. You don't want to overpower it with garlic. Just a little bit of garlic, about a tablespoon or so of Dijon, a little bit. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of lemon juice, just a little bit. It's, you know, like I said, it's kind of like making a mayonnaise. You could think of a salad dressing. You just want a little hint of acidity to this thing. It doesn't have to be really strong. You don't want it overpowering, but you do want a little bit of a tang to it. I have capers that have been, they're vinegar-packed capers, and so with the capers, you want to soak them in water for about 30 minutes, get some of that vinegary brine taste out of them, be a little cleaner flavor for you there. And I'm going to just go ahead and add a little salt and pepper at this point, and we'll adjust it at the end. And I have some olive oil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pulse this a little bit, get it going, get it mixed up a little bit. And then I'm going to mix in just a little bit of olive oil to make an emulsion. And what you want to wind up with is a fairly smooth sauce. And with this, you want to use a nice extra virgin olive oil, but you don't want it to be too potent of an olive oil because you don't want the sauce to be overpowered with olive flavor. It's got to maintain the tuna flavor, okay? So it's coming together nicely. In my travels in Italy, I've seen this dish done a lot, and sometimes the sauce is a little thicker, sometimes a little thinner. But typically you're looking for a bit of a sauce consistency that you don't want it to be like mayonnaise thick. You want it to be able to spoon it onto the veal. I'm just going to scrape this down a little bit. Because the way it is right now, it's a little thick, and we kind of would have to blob it onto the veal, and that's not necessarily a good thing. And so what you do to adjust it and really add some nice flavor to it, we add a little poaching liquid to thin it out. So I'm going to get a little bit of poaching liquid. And I'm going to drizzle this in. And, you know, this has the veal flavor, the herb flavor. And so this kind of goes back to what I talked about at the beginning, the old traditional way of making the dish where you actually put tuna in the poaching liquid. We're now bringing some of the veal flavor and herb flavor into the tuna sauce, and we're marrying it all together. And it's coming together really nice, getting a nice flowing texture now. So it looks about where I want to taste it. We'll check the seasoning. Maybe just be a little thinner. Buono. It's good. All the flavors are really nicely come together. I'm just going to hit it with a little pinch of salt. Give it a couple more drops of lemon to perk it up, bring out the flavors. The lemon juice acts like salt. The acid brings out all the other flavors. I'm going to run it just a little bit more, try to smooth out the sauce just a little more and get the tuna totally incorporated. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer the sauce into this bowl. If I can get my finger on the bottom of that thing, the blade to hold it. We have a really nice tuna sauce. And now we're ready to get our veal and present the dish. Okay, we're ready to bring this lovely traditional dish together. We have the tuna sauce made, and the veal is cooled down in the poaching liquid so all those great flavors could marry. I just want to shake off some of the poaching liquid. I have a couple clean paper towels here so we can dry it, and we're just trying to keep the cutting board a little cleaner here, so just dry that up. And we want to remove our trussing string. Untie it. Ooh. Helps if I turn the knife the right way. Okay. There's a couple things you could do at this point. If you wanted to, you could put it on a meat slicer and cut them very thin. You want fairly thin slices. And so I'm just going to trim off the end to get a flat starting point to work with, and what I'm going to do is switch to a carving knife, a sharper, thinner bladed knife, and try to just get some nice slices that I can lay out on a plate. You just want to try to have nice uniform slices. Like I said, if you want to do them a little thinner, you can always put this on a slicer. But this is not carpaccio. It's not pounded out ultra thin. Okay. Should be able to make a nice presentation with that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these and do a little fan of them on the plate. One more in there to make a nice presentation. This might be an appetizer, like kind of family style, to share with a couple people. We have the tuna sauce. It's thick, but it's not a paste. It kind of flows. There's a couple things you could do. We could have covered the bottom of the plate with the sauce, set the meat on top of it. We could put a little bit on the meat, on and off. We could cover the meat. My personal opinion, we don't want to cover the meat. We want to see some of the meat. So I'm going to kind of drizzle this around and have it be partially on and partially off the meat. And you can always thin this out a little more if you like. But here we'd like a little differentiation of color. And I think one of the bad raps on this dish is like that it can be very gray. And so by leaving the meat a little on the pink side, we have a nice color there to offset the color of the sauce. And then one of the traditional accompaniments with this is some nice little pickles is an option. So I sliced up some pickles. I'm just going to put some pickles right here in the center. Some nice little slices that as the person gets a piece of veal, they could get a little slice of pickle. And the other thing we have in the dish are capers. And what I did was I fried some capers in olive oil. And now you could just use drained and soaked capers. If you fry the caper till it's crispy, it really gets a nice crunchy texture to it, which we don't really have in this dish. And it also changes the flavor of the caper a bit. It's just a nice salty crunch. And so I'm going to just scatter a little bit of fried capers onto it. And then if you like, you could do just a touch of parsley if you wanted to, felt it needed just a little more to bring it out. And parsley does add a nice little fresh element to it as well. And there we have the vitello tonato from the Piemonte region of Italy.